Welcome back. It's time now to have a more detailed look at language questions. So in the last video we had a look at how the SQA phrases the questions, because this is the bit that people trip up and make mistakes on. They see the word language in the question and they go into autopilot and they write something like, the writer uses language to, and they actually write quite an intelligent answer, but it's not what the SQA is looking for and they get no marks. So we spoke about then, if you see the word language in a question, be it language features, use of language, examples of language, any question with the word language in it, you need your autopilot, you need to train your mind, train your brain so that on autopilot you think of these four things: word choice, imagery, sentence structure, and tone. And in fact, I absolutely make sure my classes can do this instantly. So throughout the year in my class, if we see a use of language question, I'll just call someone's name in the class and say, what does that make us think of? And they should reply back to me immediately: word choice, imagery, sentence structure, tone. Word choice, imagery, sentence structure, tone. So write these down somewhere, like the corner of the cover of your jotter, somewhere where you'll see it quite often, every day that you have English, so that you're training yourself, that you brain, when you're in the exam in May and you see that word language in the question, your brain just shouts back at you: word choice, imagery, sentence structure, tone. And that will give you the confidence to answer this question really well. Again, we use the acronym WIST, that's what I use in my class. I don't mind if you use the other versions of it though. Whatever your teacher has taught you is absolutely fine, so long as you remember the four parts of language questions. Okay, let's dive in now and look at some actual examples that will help you understand this concept much better. So we're going to look at a paragraph from a passage about forest bathing. Now, forest bathing is a Japanese idea that is just about being in a forest, about spending time in a wood or a forest. Now, not mountain biking or running or having a race, more about just kind of slowly taking in the atmosphere of the forest as you walk through it. This is the passage here. I'll read it to you now. Doctors advise us to get outside more often. Walking in woods and forests is an opportunity to take time out, slow down, and connect with nature. Trees and plants release seemingly magical chemicals called phytoncides that have been found to boost the immune system. Recently, there has been an explosion of books and podcasts encouraging us to put our hiking boots on and go walking. Okay, so there's the passage. Here's the question. This is exactly the type of question they might ask you in May. Look at lines 1 to 9. By referring to two language features, explain how the writer makes clear her view about forest walks. And it's for 4 marks, so I know I need to give 2 examples. 1 mark for each example, another mark for explaining and discussing the example, analysing it. So, language features, if I've trained my brain correctly, it will immediately be shouting word choice, imagery, sentence structure, tone at me. So, there's the passage. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to pause the video, and I want you to scan through this paragraph 3 times. The first time you scan through the paragraph, I want you to find me an example of word choice. I guarantee you there's at least one example of word choice that helps show the writer's view about forests. The second time you scan through, I want you to look for examples of imagery, so similes and metaphors. And again, I guarantee you there's at least one simile or metaphor in this paragraph to do with the writer's view about forests. See if you can find it. And thirdly, I want you to scan through looking for examples of sentence structure. And again, I guarantee you there's at least one example of sentence structure that helps show the writer's view about forests. So 3 scans, first for word choice, second for imagery, and the third one is for sentence structure. Don't worry about tone for now, we'll just leave that out. There are enough examples of the other 3 for us to easily get the 4 marks. So here's the passage again, or the paragraph of the passage, and I'd now like you to pause the video and do those 3 scans. Okay, you don't have to write anything down, just see if you can find the phrase on the screen. So 3, 2, 1, pause and search. Okay, hopefully you gave that a go. Let's now have a look at what you might have found. So, scanning through, the word choice that I see is magical. Okay, magical chemicals. And we'll have a look at that word in detail when we write the answer down. So my first scan for word choice showed me magical. There were potentially other examples down there later in the passage as well, but magical is the one that stood out to me as the strongest candidate, the best one to write about. Then we looked at imagery, or I asked you to scan for imagery. So here's an image, an explosion of books and podcasts. Now you could use explosion as word choice. So if you saw that in your your first scan, that's fine. But I'm going to look at it as an image, an explosion of books and podcasts. And finally, sentence structure. There's a lovely, clear list right at the start of the paragraph to take time out, slow down, and connect with nature. So 3 examples. We now need to see, how do I write those down so the SQA will give me the full marks? Okay, there's the question. Language features, 4 marks, so I need to find 2 examples and explain each one of them to get the full marks. Let's start at the top of the passage and work our way down this time. So the first feature we see is the list, so which is from sentence structure. Now, if you can't remember how to do any of these, if you can't remember how to do sentence structure or imagery or word choice, no panic. Just go back to that section of the video course and have a review. Quickly scan through the videos until you get a better grasp of them. It took me loads and loads of goes and time and examples when I was learning this to learn. I didn't just watch one example and then suddenly, oh, I can do all imagery questions. So don't worry if you have to go back and check. It's absolutely fine. Just pause the video and do it now. Okay, we'll carry on though. So here's a list. We need to name, identify what feature we're talking about. So the writer uses a list. I put it in bold to say that's what's getting me my first mark. The list and the quote together gets me the first mark. So a list in lines 3 to 4, and I put the quote in as well. I'm being really clear. That's the list. Okay, if I just said the writer uses a list and didn't give a line number or a quote, it's a bit vague. So nice, clear. This is the list that I'm talking about. 1 mark. Easy peasy. Trickier now it is to analyze that. So why is the list used? The list is used to emphasize the large number of benefits provided by walking in forests. And this shows that the writer believes there are many advantages to taking a walk in a forest. So where do I get the second mark? Well, it's the underlined and bold bits that get me the marks. The list shows that there is more than one benefit. There's a large number of benefits for going into a forest, and this shows her view that then the forests are a good place. And my final sentence, I just add in extra information to guarantee I get the mark. I'm basically making the same point in a slightly different wording and linking it to the question, because the question asks me about what's the writer's view. So this shows that the writer believes, this is her view, that there are many advantages to taking a walk in a forest. So 2 marks, half of the 4 marks, done and dusted. So our list showed that there are loads of good reasons to go into a forest, loads of benefits. Okay. Let's move down the passage to our second example. So again, language features. Let's look at word choice. This idea of magical chemicals. Now, when I see the word chemicals, actually, I have quite negative associations with that word. I think of like a chemical spill. There's been an accident at a factory or something like that. And chemicals being dangerous. We don't mess with them. If we're in a lab, we have to be very careful in, practical science experiments. However, the writer here, she has put the word magical before chemicals to put a positive spin on them. Okay, trees and plants release seemingly magical chemicals. Basically, they help our immune system, our health, etc., etc. So we just go into autopilot here. This is a straightforward word choice question. If you don't remember word choice, go back to that section, have a quick check. Okay, the writer uses the word choice of magical. So in line 5, there's my mark. 1 mark straight away just for writing the word magical and being clear where it is. And then my word choice formula is the word meaning suggests. The word magical, meaning mysterious, suggests that the chemical released by trees has extraordinarily positive health benefits. And then my last sentence helps show the writer's view. The writer believes accessing the chemical is another reason to take a walk in a forest. Okay, so the word meaning suggests, and I get my second mark. So long as I follow the formula for word choice, I should be good. Now, I've actually got my 4 marks now. I got 2 marks for the list. I got 2 marks for the word choice. I've got my 4 marks. But I want to be super careful. I'm going to throw in an extra one just in case one of my earlier answers was wrong. So I go back to my passage about being in a forest, spending time in a forest, and I have a look for what other language features. So we've done the list, we've done the word choice, and our third one is this lovely image. I think this is a great image. There's been an explosion of books and podcasts. Okay, so what is this? Is it a simile? Is it a metaphor? Well, it's not a simile because I don't see the word like there. It's not that anything is like an explosion. It's saying there has been an explosion of books. Now, it's not a real explosion. She's not actually talking about an actual explosion in the forest or anything like this. So this is what triggers my thought, this is an image. She's comparing something else to an explosion. So I can write up here, the writer uses the metaphor of an explosion of books and podcasts, and I get 1 mark straight away just for finding the metaphor. Now I need to explain it, and of course this can be a bit tricky, but just go through the imagery steps that we did in the earlier videos. What is an explosion? Well, an explosion is like a powerful force. It happens quite quickly. Lots of bits and pieces can come out of the explosion. So the writer is talking about a particular type of explosion. Now, it's not one that's going to destroy something. It's a positive explosion. It's putting lots of something into the world quickly. So in this case, it's books and podcasts, right? An explosion of books and podcasts. Now, this is where it starts becoming unbelievable. There's no such thing. You can't have a book grenade. Although as an English teacher, that sounds like a good idea. Getting books out into the world. So here we have an explosion of books and podcasts. So it's this idea that suddenly there are books about this idea of forest bathing, about being in a forest. There haven't been that many books before, maybe one or two. Now there are dozens and dozens and dozens of books. If you go onto Amazon, there'll be tons of them. Okay, so how do we write this down in the answer? Well, it looks like this. The writer uses the metaphor of an explosion of books and podcasts in line 8, and I use my just as and so too. That's my formula for imagery. Just as, so too. Just as, so too. So just as an explosion is sudden and powerful, so too the increase in the number of books and podcasts on the subject has been rapid. The writer's view is that more and more people are becoming aware of the benefits of walking in forests. So I use just as and so too. So I use my formula to show that the explosion is just talking about the speed. All of a sudden, loads of writers are writing lots of books about this topic. That's what the metaphor is showing me. And I'm missing an apostrophe. Those eagle-eyed of you will have noticed I'm missing an apostrophe here for the writer's view. I'm just going to put it in now. There it is. The writer's view. So the writer's view is that. Okay, perfect. Otherwise, I'd be talking about more than one writer. So that's it basically for explaining how to answer a language question. If you see the word language in a question, so in the question paper, it could be question 2 or 4 or question 7, and it says show how the writer uses language features or use of language, automatically I want your brain to shout back at you word choice, imagery, sentence structure, tone, and we use WIST or WITS or whatever acronym you want to remember it. And then you just scan through the paragraph and looking for examples of word choice, examples of imagery, and examples of sentence structure and tone. And to be honest with you, I quite often ignore tone, okay, for this type of question. There's usually enough examples of word choice, imagery, and sentence structure that I don't often use tone as an example. And when I mark for the SQA, very few candidates use tone in the language question. They focus exclusively on word choice, imagery, and sentence structure. Okay. Well, that's it for sort of the deep dive into how to answer the question. And the next video we'll do a quick recap. Just that will help you just look at that video when you're doing your revision. Okay, thanks for watching this video.